Hey everybody, it's Joshua here from the Crew Real Estate.
And Riley from the Crew Real Estate as well.
We are super excited to be the presenting sponsors for the first ever Brantford Comic Con. Riley, when is that happening?
May 10th of this year at Brandland Community Center in Brantford.
We are here today interviewing some of our guests who are going to be present at the first ever Brantford Comic Con. We want to give a huge shout out to Capcan Comics, who have partnered with the Crew. We're not only going to have arguably the best booth at Brantford Comic Con, but they are allowing us to film right here in their store. And if I'm not wrong, Riley, this is the largest comic book distributor in Canada.
You could say that, yes.
And it's right here in Brantford. We're going to be doing all sorts of special giveaways and super exciting things leading up to the com. But one of my favorite parts of being a part of that is that we get first dibs on all of our guests. So speaking of guests, let me introduce Andrew Thomas. Thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you for having me. Absolutely. Yes, it's an absolute pleasure to be here.
And thank you for being a part of the first ever Brantford Comic Con.
Oh, I mean, I thank you for being involved, and thank you to everyone who's being involved. I mean, that was definitely something that even in the back of my head lingering, I'm just like, oh, we need something like that, in Brantford, and I'm glad like minds prevailed and got together and we're making it happen.
And based on the launch, a lot of people felt that way, because as soon as this thing went up on social media, it just blew up. And
absolutely,
we were just talking about this. Vendor spots are all full.
Yep.
Tickets are going crazy.
Yep.
Okay, we got to start this interview. So I'm going to let Riley go with the very first question. Riley.
I think my question's very basic, and I think the best thing to do is tell the audience a little bit about yourself and who you are and why you're involved in Brantford Comic Con and what you're most excited about.
Absolutely, yeah. So I'm an artist, comic book artist and letterer primarily, and I live right here in Brantford, and I've actually been here for the last almost 4 years now, and yeah, I've been drawing for as long as I can remember, and I always wanted to work on comics, and I had the opportunity to work with some great, amazing people. And one thing I definitely wanted to do, especially when we moved here, is I wanted to be involved with the community, and I wanted to have a relationship with the local comic shops, and so that was definitely something that I knew that I had to make a point of doing. So yeah, so absolutely, Brantford is an amazing community. There's so many creative minds here. I've met so many people that I consider now close friends, just because we happen to live so close to to each other. So absolutely, and I'm just excited about the potential and the possibility of what we can do, not only with Brantford Comic Con, but with other creatives together. Let's just go out and make a thing.
Yeah, 100%.
I've said this time and time again, and it bears repeating. Brantford just has so many talented people per capita. It is insane. It is unlike so many other communities, and we are so lucky to have such a talented community. When it comes to your art, something you've done since you were young, when did you know that this was something you wanted to make full-time?
As a kid, I had inspirations even for like being a Disney animator. Like I just knew. Oh yeah, right from the get go, I knew that I wanted to pursue some sort of career in illustration, and so I was drawing on every scrap of paper. I was always that kid in school.
You don't have any of those scraps lying around. So,
I might, somewhere buried in the garage, there might be some old relics of the past or something like that.
And your address. Okay, cut that.
Yeah, so and I after high school, I ended up taking a year off, and I worked in security. But when I went to college, I actually went into school for game design, and there was a lot of transferable skills that I learned. Graphic design, audio engineering, animation, coding, programming, all that stuff. But right when I graduated, I just really wanted to stick to illustration, and a big part of wanting to do comics was that DC had just launched the New 52, and that was a huge jumping on point, not only for me as a collector, but all
for comic books.
Absolutely,
like it was a huge moment.
Oh yeah, it was when I really started to pay attention not only to the books themselves, but to the creative teams, and just to see what the industry was like at the time, and I'm like looking at the main Batman run by Scott Snyder
That's
and Greg
the one I remember
Capullo.
too, yeah.
Oh yeah, and just almost like studying every single panel, and
That was a great series.
Yeah, Greg Capullo ended up becoming one of my all-time favorite artists just because I loved the way he drew Batman. And which I guess this is kind of like the jumping on point that many people would want is like you follow an artist and then you go back and explore their previous work. So following Greg Capullo's journey even when he was doing Spawn and then following and reading Batman and I just knew right then and there, it's just like, I want to do comics. That's it. I just want to do comics. And I just became, self-taught and you would learn from whoever was willing to teach, and you just kind of absorb it like a sponge and, spend all that time practicing. And I was pretty young. I was like, just out of college, I was maybe 21, 22. So just like, I was still ready and, young and just, I'll take what I can get. And going to conventions was also a big deal too.
We have
and
one of those.
coming up. Absolutely, that's right. And you never know. You'll find someone there that Brantford will be their first ever convention, and they're gonna want it to break into comics too.
100%.
And I want to be there to help them, to guide them and give them advice and pointers and stuff like that to the, because many people have blessed me with that with all their knowledge and stuff. Yeah.
Your passion, your enthusiasm, I mean, it comes through so genuinely. And your talent, obviously. So then it's great. You're passionate, you're enthusiastic, you're talented. What was your big break? How did you actually get into doing this for a living full time?
So, I mean, after a couple of cracks at self-publishing, I started actually the whole thing started with me with self-publishing, that I wanted to learn how to not only draw it but and learn how to color and learning how to print it. But I guess one of the most key important factors about that was how to letter a comic. And that was a piece of advice that was given to me from a retailer, and who I walked in and I'm like, hey, do you guys sell indie comics? What do you guys do, or how does that work? And the owner, he looked at my book and he's like, well, you actually learned how to letter your book. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely.
I don't know what that means.
So
I was just gonna say that's one thing. That's a great.
Is that, you mean like the words in the speech?
Yes.
Like, okay.
Yes. So comic book, yeah. So lettering basically is the art of putting the words into text into balloons and the sound effects and the captions and stuff like that you read in the comic. You can have such amazing art drawn by the most talented professionals out there in the world, but if the lettering doesn't meet the standard, if it's subpar, it's going to distract the reader. It's going to take the reader completely out of the experience. So so the lettering has to flow organically with the art, and so it has to match the style. So the one thing that I knew that I wanted to do was to make sure I learn also how to letter the book and make sure it looks as good as it can. And that led into an offer from at the time was called Chapter House Comics, and they are the publisher for Captain Canuck, at least the rebooted version of Captain Canuck. And they said, hey, someone told me that you can letter your own books, and I said, yeah, I've done a few for my books and stuff like that. And I showed them my portfolio, and they were like, hey, great, how would you like to letter an issue of Captain Canuck? I'm like, awesome. Yeah.
No, I'm busy.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, great, here you go. And we'll need it in 2 days or something like that. I'm like, oh my God. So I have to study the style guide. So I have to, learn how, how the book looked even in the previous issues. So you have to match the style, the font, the sound effects.
I'm so mesmerized by this. It sounds so challenging. That's so
there's
cool.
a lot that goes into it, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's not just drawing pictures.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, no, but I mean the lettering. I never even thought that would be your responsibility.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In most cases, the lettering department is its own thing. You have a dedicated person, doing that. A lot of people would want to do it themselves. A lot of creators I've met said, I'll do my own lettering, or people, they would just kind of delegate that to someone who knows how to do it, like an actual professional letterer.
I don't mean to monopolize the entire interview. I just got another question. So
Yeah.
I mean, How much does that impact the way you actually draw the panels, though? Because like you don't have creative freedom to be able to draw wherever you want because you have to have enough space for all of the dialogue or the sound.
Absolutely,
like,
yeah. So in most,
it's just really.
absolutely, and in most cases, I would say 99% of the time, when I'm operating as a letterer primarily, the work is already, like, the artwork's already done. So it's already.
You just try not to cover up.
And that's exactly, it's basically there's a science, there's kind of an art, there's a flow to it where it needs to go, keeping in mind how the readers read books from left to right. So you it's kind of like a flow. Where does the eye naturally draw itself to and stuff from panel to panel.
Okay, I'm sure we could do a whole interview.
Oh, absolutely. Lettering 101.
Sorry, I'll let you ask another question, Reilly. I know we got a whole list of questions we're trying to work through.
But back to what you were saying was I got the knock, from Chapter House saying, hey, do you want to do Captain Canuck? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And then it became a point where they kept giving me books, and then they're like, hey, do you just want to be our in-house letterer, and we're going to give you the entire universe? Oh yeah, so that would springboard my career, is because they at that time, Chapter House wanted to expand and create their own superhero universe, so they branched out into many different titles, and I ended up working on all of them. And even a few years later, they would bring back a lot of like Golden Age heroes from like the Lev Gleason days of like during World War II. So you have like these public domain heroes like Silver Streak or the original Daredevil, not to be confused with Marvel's Daredevil. They brought these characters back and they rebooted it, and I got to work on those, which was a really cool thing. And I kid you not, it's just because of where I was and what I was doing that they were just word of mouth. And I not to say that I wouldn't say that the work only speaks for itself, but I went to a lot of conventions too myself, and I would go meet people, and I would networking, which is a huge deal, and something very important for any creative that wants to pursue a career in comics. Is networking is key. I mean, that probably goes without saying for anything. Absolutely. So word of mouth happens, and then you're getting offers from one publisher, another publisher. Then I get to work for do stuff for Archie, and then
Archie.
I did. I worked for Archie. Yeah, so that's just how it is, and then naturally it just became one project after the next one, and it led me to some cool.
You've done such cool stuff.
I'd like to think so. Yeah, thank you.
Speaking of which, Reilly.
Oh, 100%. You're obviously a friend of the store here. I mean, we've done some work together in the past. What is something that, we've got, I think, some stuff actually right in front of us.
Yeah, that's one of them.
That's right here, right off the shelf, fresh.
What is one of the proudest things that you've ever worked on? That you've worked on and you're like, wow, that was really cool. And
the first, CapCan has been amazing to me, and Warren and Jaden have just been
in reverse as well. I think the relationship's been a two-way street. Right?
I think so too. I mean, I hope I add value
absolutely,
to it.
Absolutely.
That's all we can hope for.
100%.
But it's been a fantastic relationship working with them, and I would say probably one of the proudest moments is that they actually gave me the opportunity to work officially on a Star Trek book, which was a huge deal of mine because I am a huge Trekkie, and I know you are yourself.
Amazing.
Is it that one right there?
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, Star Trek.
Have that out, show it for the camera.
Look at that.
Star Trek:
Right
Strange
here.
New Worlds issue 1.
Available www.capcancomics.ca.
Look at that. So cool.
So that was a huge deal for me. It was a huge bucket list for me. Is just me going back as a kid. It would be like at the time, kindergarten was only a half-day program, so I was in the afternoon. So in the morning, I would always catch Star Trek, the original series, on Channel 50 on Space Channel. So, yeah, absolutely.
So that's one of your proudest.
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. Yeah,
very cool.
Okay, there's something on here. I'm not going to read the entire question because it's like 111 words, but it says Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which I grew up wanting to be a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. And it also says something about exclusive, and it says something about Capcan Comics. Mm-hmm. What is that?
Yeah. So it just because I mean part of the reason was that the IDW is the publisher not only for Star Trek, but they also hold the license for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So working with IDW has been amazing. They've been so responsive, and so when the opportunity came to actually do an original cover for a brand new book for Ninja Turtles, Capcan jumped on board, and they said, yeah, let's do it, and we came up with this really cool, unique.
That one there?
That one, that's it right there.
Gosh, another grab.
Easy, just sitting
Absolutely,
here.
that's
Look
it
at
right
that,
there. Yeah,
folks. Exclusive.
Black, white, and green #1 exclusive Capcan variant.
Very cool.
Yeah,
You've done some really incredible
Oh,
stuff.
thank you.
That's so cool. How did I get here interviewing you? That's what I'm saying. Huge shout out. This is amazing.
I know,
Thank you so much for being here.
No, thank you. I could talk about this forever.
No, you're going to, yeah. I mean, I don't know. We might run out of time.
If we had to develop a comic book hero for Brantford, if you had to develop a comic book hero for Brantford, what are some characteristics that you would include?
I'll be honest that coming up with stuff like that isn't my forte because I'm not necessarily a writer. However, I had some time to think about this, and I'm going to borrow some ideas here. But with Brantford being the telephone city, cool. You'd want a hero that has the ability to what's the word I'm looking for? But he has these amazing communication powers, psychic powers, the ability to
telekinetic kind of thing?
Something like that, something to
cool.
enhance communication, or from one being to another, or something like that, or I don't know, make him dress like a giant bell. I don't know.
We have a local superhero. It's Captain Kindness. So I feel like we could do something.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Just give him incredible communication skills. Dave is kind of embodies. Dave is Captain Kindness.
Oh, I've heard of Captain Kindness. Oh, absolutely.
Maybe edit that part.
So you doing all the work that you've done a lot of very interesting things in your career. Who are some people that have been very interesting that you've worked with in the past? Obviously, I know your connection with Kevin, who came here, obviously.
Yeah, we got to talk about that.
Yeah, but who
some
else
influential people in your life.
You've worked with that you're like, wow, that was really cool.
I'll tell you exactly who. And so when I started reading comics or collecting comics, one particular book stood out for me, and it was called Chew, published by Image, and it was drawn by Rob Guillory, and there was just something about his style that really spoke to me. Cool. He had it was a very abstract, cartoony look, and he broke all kinds of rules, and I dug him for that. Because just the fact that he said, you know what, I want to draw this in my own way. Forget about perspective, rules, or he just wants to bend them where he can, because the comics as a medium, you can do whatever you want. It's limitless. It's art, absolutely, right? It's art, and of course it's all subjective. But just like a book that is so very mature, in its subject matter, but the art was almost like a 360, or no, a 180, I should say. The art was like a 180 to it. So he was a very big inspiration for me in my pursuit of comics and as an illustrator, because finding your own particular style can be a challenge to many people. And so many years later I got to meet him, and I just kind of reached out when he posted on Facebook saying, oh hey, I just finished outlining my new creator-owned series that I'm going to be doing, and I just messaged him like, hey, you looking for a letterer by any chance? Like, I'm a big fan of yours.
Just like that.
And he goes, you know what, I might send me your portfolio, and I'll send it off to the publisher and see what they say. And and a couple of weeks later, they came back and says, yeah, they like you. They want you on board. So here I am working with another. So it's just another thing that checks off. It's just like, oh my god, I get to meet or to work with someone I idolize so much, and obviously not the first time that's happened. So and then getting getting more emails from him and saying, hey, I got another book and I got another project that I want you to do this, and it's building a relationship with him, and it's so rewarding.
That's great. Now to tie it back in kind of locally, like I see that you do a lot of work with local guys like Zero Box Time Machine, for example, with Scott. For the Brantford Comic Con, obviously it's a first event here in town, very local event. We're gonna have a lot of local people there. What are you excited for in terms of that?
I think I'm just excited for everybody, to kind of congregate together, and when we finally have a place to kind of celebrate our fandom and our nerdiness and all that, and just to see what everybody brings to the table, and everybody, all the local people, and you just kind of want to see it's a perfect representation of what Brantford has to offer, and all the creative, as you were saying, like the creative explosion of I don't know what I'm saying at this point, but
The
like,
amount of creativity per capita.
Yeah, that's it.
that I use.
Thank you.
Amazing.
I'll just
You're
ramble.
excited
I'll just
for
ramble
Brantford
on.
Comic Con?
Yeah, so much so that I don't have the
we
words
go.
for it. Yeah, I don't know why I'm sitting here.
Honestly, I'm already
That's
thinking
great.
about number 2, number 3. I'm on Cap.
Oh, absolutely.
Brantford Comic Con X. I know that this is going to be a huge thing for our community, and because of people like you and the incredible organizers who make
100%.
this event happen, like I know the community is going to support it because we need it. And the fact that we didn't have it and now we do, it's huge. And it's because of people like you saying yes to be a part of it. So that'll be my last question is what can people expect when they come to Brantford Comic Con and meet you? What are you going to be doing?
I mean, I'm going to be there.
You're going to be there.
I'm going to be there.
I sure hope you're going to come.
I'm gonna be there too.
So when you come
I wasn't
to
prepared for that question, man.
That's why I asked. When you come to Brantford Comic Con, you're gonna have your booth. You're gonna be set up.
absolutely,
You're
yeah.
gonna be signing stuff.
Absolutely. I'm going to have copies of all my work, and I have posters, and actually even my son, who's just off camera, he's also going to be there. He's an inspiring artist as well, and he wants people to, to see what he's working on too. So I'm just, he's inspired, and I want to, nurture that as best as I can and let him kind of run with it.
And if anybody needs any lettering work done, you're for hire.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go, right?
Where can they find you on social media?
Yeah, what are your handles? How do people follow you?
So
Can I follow you? Is that okay?
I think we already are following each other.
Great. I'm so excited.
Instagram, Threads, all the places. I am the Fat Man. Yeah.
Threads.
Threats, yeah, Threats. Blue Sky, all that. No, I am the Fat Man who letters. So
Fat Man Who Letters.
Yep.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh,
I
thank
feel a little
you.
Star Trek right now, but this is very cool.
And if you want more information and want to, reach out to or touch base with Andrew, you're going to see him at the Comic Con, Brantford Comic Con, May 10th in Brantford at Brandland Community Center. We're very excited, and this was great. Thanks, Andrew.
Stay tuned for more interviews coming soon, and a huge thank you again to Capcan Comics for being here, and of course the organizers of Brantford Comic Con. We couldn't do it without them and their incredible team. This is amazing. Thank you so much. I'm not going to hit the scissors this time.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, there we go. We're good.
I think we did. But.
Thank you.
And one more thing, if you do want to have anything signed by Andrew and you don't have anything, there's lots available in store, like we were
Right
talking
here,
about
yeah.
this interview.
this one.
Lots for sale. So
One of
come
these
on
is
by.
actually pre-signed. You just have to come in and look.
You have to find them.